This is one-on-one session with the ForumIAS founder and director Ayush Sinha. In this session, students are asked questions to test their preparedness for the personality test. One-on-one sessions are not mock panel sessions.
Can you introduce yourself to me?
So my name is Dr. Atul N Dhakne. I'm medical graduate from BJ Government Medical College, Pune. And since 2015, I'm running an NGO in capacity as a founder, president and academic director named Lift For Upliftment, which imparts free coaching in offline and residential mode for NEET UG.
So what does your name mean?
Sir, the origin of my name is Atulya, that is from the Sanskrit. It means being unique or incredible or incomparable.
So you were born in 13th April. 13th April is a very important date. What is the significance of this date?
Sir, in 1919 on 13th April, there was unfortunate incident of Jallianwala Bagh massacre, sir.
Who had done it?
Sir, General Dyer.
How did the British Parliament respond to it? Did they criticize General Dyer or they let him?
Sir, it was very unfortunate and inhuman of the British Parliament not to criticize the incident, and later there were also funds gathered for the General Dyer. Yes, sir.
You are also an MBBS doctor.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Atul, so I was traveling in a train once and there was a person on the opposite side of the berth. And there was a gentlemanly looking doctor with me. And this doctor says to this gentleman on the other side, say that you have a heart problem. Now the gentleman is shocked. How do you know? He says, I'm a doctor. He said, I understand, but how do you look at me and tell that I have a heart problem? He pointed towards his legs. He says, from there I made it out. Can you tell me what was the diagnosis here?
Sir, legs may be swollen, and there can be the edema in the legs. And edema.
Why swollen legs is a sign of some heart condition?
Sir, edema occurs due to in the hypertensive patient. That is the retention of the mechanism of osmosis. Like to maintain the pressure, the water moves out from the cell to the extracellular spaces, and that leads to the inflammation. And it occurs due to gravity first in the leg region, that is pedal edema, we say.
This COVID showed us that we need less bureaucracy and more doctors, isn't it? So don't you think that you as a doctor can contribute better to the society than by becoming a civil servant?
Sir, I think during COVID, the sound health management policies framed by the bureaucrats as well as the on-ground work by the doctors, both were equally important and both helped. And about my aspiration to become civil servant, I had the dream of becoming civil servant since my school days itself. And after 12th standard, when without joining any coaching, I scored good marks in medical entrance, I was in a dilemma to take admission in medical college or not, because I was determined on preparing for civil services examination. So as we required graduation, rather than taking graduation in humanities, I preferred to take graduation from the medical colleges. So that and while doing medical studies, I felt the approaches and the knowledges things learned during medical college, they are going to be advantage for me in the civil services.
Can you think of any doctors who have made good contribution as civil servants as well?
Sir, I am fortunate to meet some doctor civil servants. That is Dr. IAS Tamboli, who is posted in Chhattisgarh. He was responsible for setting up of fully functional tertiary care hospital in the Naxal-prone district of Bijapur, sir. So he has done notable work. And there is also Dr. Shrikar Pardeshi in Maharashtra itself. He is a college alumni. He had done wonderful works in the education sector as a district collector, and also have done good work in municipality of Pimpri-Chinchwad when he was commissioner there.
There are a lot of concerns with respect to sudden heart attacks that people are having. Some people are saying that this is happening because of COVID infection. Others are saying this is happening because of the COVID vaccine. As a doctor, what is your take on it?
So there have been various reports as well as the people are presenting the papers about the link of the COVID vaccination on the heart problem. So sir, the government as well as the vaccine manufacturers have denied the fact, but there also is going to be the reevaluation of the link between both these two. Sir, as a doctor, I think the cases are very rare, so more research needs to be done, more cause effect relation has to be established, so we need more data, sir. And with respect to COVID, the clots were formed and they were leading to the cardiovascular problems.
Vaccines, can we blame them conclusively?
Sir, not yet, sir. We don't have adequate number of data, sir.
You also were started a non-governmental organization.
Yes,
You were the
sir.
founder president of it.
Yes, sir.
What was your motivation for starting this NGO?
Sir, it was when we were in third year MBBS and we saw the advertisements of the coaching classes for the medical entrance, which was around 1.5 to 2 lakhs. Sir. And we never had joined coaching. And after the in urban areas, we saw that the coaching had become mandatory due to increase in the marks cutoff and all these things. So we thought of shouldn't poor student become the doctor? And so this was not a knee-jerk reaction. It was a culmination of the social movements which we were undergoing in our colleges, and we were fortunate to get exposed to some socially sensitive doctors as well as socially sensitive seniors who used to ask the questions about the evils in the society. And rather than whining and crying of this problem of non-inclusive medical education, we thought of let us spend our free time and expertise to uplift the needy students.
But how do you fund it?
Sir, basically our model is very low budget, and uniqueness of our model is we get our teachers free of cost. The teachers are among the medicos, first year, second year, third year MBBS students or engineering students in Pune, and then later also from Maharashtra. And sir, for the non-academic cost, initially we made out of our pocket contributions. Later we got donations from our alumni doctors. And now, sir, we also run a residential facility of 55 students for the tribal student especially. For that, we have a CSR funds from Tata, Sahyadri Hospitals and Aarti Chemicals, which is Gujarat-based company.
Like, there has been recently a lot of concerns with respect to non-governmental organizations and their funding. So what is happening?
Sir, the IB and other government agencies have reported that the funds are being misutilized. The funds, the donation taken for certain cause are not being used for that. Sometimes also against the national interest. The second is also the lack of transparency in the funding, in the expenditure by the NGOs. So these are the two issues I see, sir.
But there is an allegation that they are working as front organizations for foreign agencies. So how far is it true?
Sir, if we have to believe the IB report, IB have reported about some organizations in the name of environment, they are opposing the developmental activities.
But even good agencies, otherwise which are not in environment, such as, for example, Transparency International also, I think, then Amnesty International as well. They have stopped India operations. What has happened?
Due to IB report and allegations on them for the use of funds to propagate the agenda of the Western countries in the India, some steps were taken. The due compliances have been enhanced, especially related to the foreign contributions. So they have stopped their operations due to such compliances.
There was a time when there was the Medical Council of India, right? Now we have the National Medical Commission.
Yes, sir.
Medical Council of India, what was the reason behind the massive corruption in Medical Council of India?
Sir, there were various reasons for corruption. The first is very generic, which is across the system. That is lack of the value system like integrity among the office bearers. The second is, sir, the mechanism of the election. Whatever elections were used to take, there used to be a lot of corruption in election itself. The office bearer who want to get elected, they need to spend a lot of money at that time. So that was second thing. And third one is, sir, the over dependence of medical colleges on the MCI. So private medical colleges especially, who were not able to fulfill the compliances, they used to bribe, sir, MCI officials.
Recently, a member of parliament has been convicted for more than 2 years. and that has disqualified him. So, what are the statutory and constitutional provisions behind this disqualification?
Sir, constitutional provision, Article 105, if I am not wrong, Article 105 gives the power to Parliament to frame the laws about the disqualification or the qualification of the MPs. And sir, statutory provision, Representatives of People Act 1951, it had laid that if any MP is being convicted for a criminal case which has imprisonment for more than 2 years, so that automatically he or she gets disqualified from the post of member of parliament, sir.
A certain case of Supreme Court had termed parts of RPA as unconstitutional, because of which this has happened today. Which case am I talking about?
Sir, Joseph Lily case, sir.
Lily Thomas.
Sorry, sir. Thank you for correcting. Lily Thomas case.
So, on what grounds had the Supreme Court held parts of Section 8(4) of the RPA unconstitutional?
Sir, previously there was a provision that the disqualification will not come into practice automatically right after the court pronounced its verdict. But there was a window period of some limited time for appealing in the court, and if again that matter goes sub judice, the disqualification will not take place. But after that case, the Supreme Court had quashed that provision.
On what grounds?
Sir, sorry sir, I am not able to recall on the grounds.
What is the difference between our policy of non-alignment that we had after independence versus the strategic autonomy policy that we have today?
Sir, one thing, the non-aligned movement was, the main objective was to stay aloof from any of the bloc which were formed during that time, that is Soviet bloc or the USA led bloc, and hence to get participated in any of the war if it has to be there. So that was one of the main objective and the development of the nation. But now in current, when we are having strategic autonomy and we are not aligning to any of the bloc, here we are also exerting ourselves and our national interest on a more front. And in this way, we are.
Do you think, Atul, there has been a paradigm shift in our foreign policy?
Yes, sir. There had been phases of foreign policy, and according to the.
Can we say that there is a paradigm shift in our foreign policy?
Yes, sir. It is the result of the developmental outcomes we are having.
Here there has been a paradigm shift.
Yes, sir.
What shift are you able to see?
So the first is we are asserting our national interest. For example, in Russia-Ukraine conflict, we chose not to align to any of the bloc.
And that is what we had been doing all throughout. We never aligned.
But sir, here we are also being more pragmatic. For example, we have not stopped buying oil from the Russia, and we had been in the national interest. We had also increased our import of the crude oil from the Russia. And sir,
you have a hobby of writing and reciting poems.
Yes, sir.
Who's your favorite poet?
Sir, my favorite poet, Indrajit Bhalerao, sir, from Marathi poet.
Can you recite any poem? Do you also read Hindi poetry or just Marathi poetry?
Sir, I read Hindi, but not that much. But sir,
you read
Marathi. Marathi, and sir, I write.
Can you recite a poem in Marathi? That is all right.
Yes, sir. Sir, this is in Marathi, and I will translate for you in English, sir. अगई लोकशाही बाई अशी ग कशी तू, अगई लोकशाही बाई अशी ग कशी तू, कधी मांडीवर घेऊन खेळवतेस, कधी खांद्यावर घेऊन गोंजारतेस, आणि आम्ही डोक्यावर बसलो की बातकन खाली आपटतेस, अशी ग कशी तू, अशी ग कशी तू. Sir, in this poem, I am personifying the electoral democracy as mother, who is very loving and caring, who lets us sit on her lap and cares us, and it also takes us on her shoulder and provides us opportunity to get uplifted. But if some of us try to sabotage her by sitting on its head, it even smashes us on the ground. And I'm in amazement of you, Mother Democracy.
All right. So your interview is over.
Thank you, sir.